All right, welcome to another edition of Bishop's Bytes. I'm the Assistant Athletic Director, Kit Streif, here at Montana State University Billings, with head coach Rob Bishop. Coach, coming off a week where you played some good competition and had a couple really close decisions against number 10 Chico State, and got a great doubleheader win a week ago Thursday at California and Idaho. Talk about last week's play.
Well, I was happy with the way we competed. With the road trip out there was a little bit strenuous, to say the least. About 30 hours on the bus, and we got snowed in Reno, and we didn't even know if we were going to make it.
Right.
But so we went about 3 days there without really even getting a good workout, especially outside. But we rolled off the bus, and the guys played really well. We pitched extremely well, and we really had a chance to win all three of the games at Chico, which. At the end of the year, I'm sure we'll look back at those and wish that we would have at least been able to grab one of those, especially after a ranked team. But we played well, and we competed and had chances even late in 2 of the 3 games. And then College of Idaho, I think the story was really just the pitching and defense. We just played really clean baseball. We didn't make any errors in the doubleheader. And, all 4 of the guys that threw in that series threw really well. And, from the beginning of the year, you and I have talked, and if we pitch and play defense, we'll have a chance to win games. So I still don't think we're swinging the bat like we're capable of it, but some of that's guys banged up, and some of that is just we just haven't maybe figured out what the best combination or the best mix is yet. But we've played good defense, and we've been throwing lots of strikes, and that's a winning combination at any level.
Talk about going against a team that is a perennially top 2 or 3 team in the CCAA, and a team that's year in and year out in the NCAA tournament. Talk about what does that do for Yellow Jacket baseball to go down there? Yeah, you guys didn't win a game in the 3-game series, but you only lost by a total of 9 runs, if I remember correctly, in 3 games, and 2 of them were by 1 run.
Mm-hmm. I felt like maybe if there was one thing that I'd have a criticism of our guys is that we maybe were just dipping our toes in the pool a little bit that first couple innings, just to kind of see, how good are these guys going to be?
Right.
And after we realized that, it's just baseball, and, California obviously has a good reputation for baseball, and Chico has a great program. They do their coaching staff does a great job, and they're very disciplined, and they were athletic and really had no weakness in their game as far as I saw. But we were, I thought that they outperformed us a little bit in the bullpen, and probably a little bit just hitting in the clutch. But I was just pretty happy with the way that we went out and competed. I think it showed our guys, and it showed our coaches that really, if we play well, we can compete with anyone. And then it's just a matter of taking away one or 2 things that the other team is doing, and doing 1 or 2 things just a little bit better on our half. And I think that hopefully we'll see some of those games down the stretch where we win some of those games.
Speaking about that, what does those 3 games do for you in terms of coming into conference play? I mean, are they confidence boosters for you in terms of, you say, we went down, we played with one of the best teams in the country, and we're right there in all 3 games and had the lead in all 3 games.
Yeah, I think so. And we played 2 games at College of Idaho right after that, where we really had opportunities to lose those games. We won 3-1, 3-2, but we could have just as easily lost both of those, and we found a way to win, whether it was making a big pitch or a big play or getting a big hit or something. So I really liked how our trip finished up, and I think this weekend will be a big test for us, because now we've had 8 or 9 days off, which no coach really likes that, where you take a few too many days off maybe during the season. But with the bye week to start the conference season, we didn't have much choice there. I'm really just I feel like our guys believe we can play with anyone. That being said, we still haven't played to our potential, so we need to keep getting better, and we need to play better, or it'll be difficult, especially on the road, to win a lot of games in the conference.
Talk about the last question before we talk about this week's series at St. Martin's. What, looking into last year, pitching and being able to get out of innings and giving up two out walks and things of that nature was a real problem for for this team last year. What do you think's been the difference? I mean, the ERA is down a lot as opposed to last year. What do you think's been the difference from a pitching standpoint this season?
I truthfully think that the difference that Coach Martin's done a great job of just really structuring what our program is. Our philosophy is to throw more rather than less, and take fewer days off where the pitchers aren't throwing or doing some sort of work that makes them a better pitcher, and I feel like that's really paid off. Brian Hutchings been off to a great start, and he really didn't have the year last year that he would have expected of himself, and it snowballed a little bit on him. Jake Volk didn't have a great year last year, and Jake's come out throwing the ball really well. So I think it's been a combination of a couple of guys just really throwing the ball well, the structure that Coach Martin's given these guys, and I think our players want to prove that last year wasn't where our program's at either. Overall, I think if you look at statistically, the biggest difference, we really aren't giving up less hits, and we aren't really more overpowering on the mound or anything like that. But we've just walked fewer people. We've just kind of made a commitment as a team and as a staff that if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to hit the ball, and we're not going to walk you. And those are the guys that I'm comfortable putting in the game. And we've used Archie Smith in relief rather than starting, and he's been fantastic in that role. And then we've used Brian Howe in relief rather than starting. And so, a couple of role changes I think have helped us. Zach Smith has really done well his last two outings, and he's a newcomer, so that's been a nice surprise. So I think it's just a combination of a bunch of little things.
Good. I looked at the stats today, and before we came down here for this, and I looked and I noticed that you look at the runs. You guys get out to a really hot start in the first inning. There've been, between your team and the opponent, there've been 31 runs scored in the first inning alone. Then a little lull in the second and third inning, but then the fourth and fifth innings have been huge again, and then the seventh, eighth, and ninth innings have been enormous with double-digit runs in each of those three innings. Talk about starting games and finishing games.
Well, that's something that we talk about offensively. We've had a few games where we've blown their starter up in the first two innings. And then I felt like we kind of thought, all right, we got six now. Now the game's over, and as well as I do. And especially in a 9-inning game, boy. I mean, that's like having a great run in the first 3 minutes of basketball. I mean, we've got to do a better job as a team of just continuing to put pressure on their defense, continuing to have good at bats. One thing that we preach a lot is, first pitch outs are just that's our cardinal sin. I mean, we don't want to make first pitch outs, and if we're gonna swing early in the count, it better be in an RBI situation, or we better be really on time and locked in. So some of the guys had to adjust a little bit. I think it was a little bit more of a free swinging approach last year, but we don't have tremendous team speed, so we really need to do a good job managing our innings. And when you look at how we've scored runs, we've scored them in bunches, so 4, 5, 6, 7, but we haven't done a tremendous job getting a guy on, getting him over, getting him in without getting 4 hits. So we've made really that a big emphasis in the last 8 or 9 days of practice, that we're really on the innings where we aren't locked in and going, or the pitcher's really being tough on us. We still have to be able to figure out a way to score runs, whether we're stealing bases or we're using the bunting game or hit and run or doing something that's a little bit more aggressive.
Coming into this week, you go up against a team that is kind of hot right now in St. Martin's, who beat Northwest Nazarene on the road 3 out of 4. And NNU was very hot coming in. They were 6th in the region in the Baseball Writers Poll. Talk about the game the series coming up with St. Martin's.
Well, I feel like St. Martin's is a team that I think the coaches that were here last year would tell you that they were really young last year and they were really scrappy. They're gonna compete on the mound. They're gonna compete at the plate. They have 2 or 3 players that stand out, that are terrific players, but they play with a lot of energy, and they really feed off of the energy in a game. So I think that's something that combined, the energy combined with the great preseason schedule that they played. I think they ended up 2-9 or something on that preseason trip. But you go into California and you play all those good teams. They played a lot of tough teams and tough games, and so those are the kind of games that really make your team better. So it wasn't a surprise. It was a surprise that they won on the road that handily, but it's not a surprise to me. I think they're a very good club, and their coaching staff does a very good job. So I fully expect to just have all we want out there, and just we're going to have to come out and really play well from the first inning to the last in order to hold our own in the series. And your goal is always to go into the series with the goal of winning the series. So that's where we've set the bar at this point.
All right. What's GNAC pitcher of the week this week was Tommy DeBoer from St. Martin's. They're a team that doesn't hit the ball exceptionally well, hit like 230-ish on the year, but they've pitched very, very well this season. Talk about how your bats are going to put a chink in their armor.
Well, I think some of their numbers are a little bit they're a little bit unfair because of the competition they face. So we started off early in the year, hitting 315, 320, and I really. What we did is we had 2 games where we blew up and scored 20 runs, and so we weren't really hitting 320. We were hitting 450 in those 2 games, and they've had some games where it's just they've been just kind of got piled up on by a great pitcher, and how it goes early in the season. Those stats can be a little bit deceiving. I mean their 3 hitters is a terrific hitter, and they have some guys with great speed. The way that I see their team winning games and putting pressure on people is that they pitch well, they defend well, they have good athletes, and they can score runs without getting a bunch of hits because they run the bases well, they bunt well, they hit and run, and they play a really fast-paced, aggressive kind of game. And so, if a team like that gets momentum, they're tough to stop. So I'm sure that looks like that's what happened last weekend at NIU. And so, our job is right from the first inning has got to be to kind of hold that in check, hopefully.
St. Martin's has been the one team other than Western Oregon who has kind of dominated MSUB throughout the time that the Jackals have been in the GNAC. St. Martin's leads the series 19-4. Mm-hmm. They won 13 of the first 14 in the series. Talk about what you tell the guys in terms of about that and kind of just looking to a way to get on a winning track against the Saints.
Well, we played really well against a Regis team that went on and beat New Mexico Highlands all 4 games the next week, the RMAC champion, and Pueblos played really well. And then we played well against Chico and played well against College of Idaho. So I think that the main point that I brought to our guys this week is that, I know we're confident. I want us to be confident, but let's just make sure we're not overconfident. And we need to just prepare each week. It's frustrating when you're trying to prepare in a gym,
Right.
And that their team's outside practicing and they're getting midweek games, and we can't even get out. But it's not an excuse. We have to just prepare and do the best that we can, and we've got a pretty good rhythm going with our guys, and I feel like we're showing up every day, getting our work done, and just trying to prepare our bodies for another bus trip, and make sure we're getting midweek workouts in the weight room, and taking care of school and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of having good balance in our lives, and if we can just continue to prepare each weekend for each game, for each series, regardless if it's St. Martin's or Western Oregon, or if it's a bye week, we just need to keep preparing for our next opponent. So just hopefully we'll be consistent, and I think that's one thing that in the past, you've seen lots of big winning streaks and lots of big losing streaks, and hopefully, obviously we'll take the winning streaks, right. but hopefully this year our team has enough maturity where we can just kind of grind through it when we hit a rough patch, as every team does, right. And just win some games in different ways.
Talk about the bus trips. You guys start on the road for the first 20, I believe it's 21 games on the road. Talk about what is it like living kind of out of a suitcase and kids missing class, things of that nature. And I bet you're looking forward to March 25th when you guys host Western Oregon.
Oh, no doubt. I think that it really hit me this last week where you go on 3, 15-hour plus one-way bus trips. And I think it's more than anything, it's just hard to make sure that from a nutrition and sleep standpoint that the guys are taking care of their basic needs. And then obviously school. The professors at MSUB have been great, and a lot of our guys have online classes and online assignments. So technology's really made a difference there compared to 10 or 15 years ago how it would be. But it doesn't make the road any less grueling. We have this week on the road, and then another week on a short week next week with NNU. So we're only back for 2 days, and we're back on the bus again. And So again, it's not something we can use as an excuse. We have to just go out and play hard. And at the end of the year, each conference game counts as one conference game, and whether it's at home or on the road, and we just have to approach it that way.
Coach, best of luck.
Thanks a lot, kid.
Take care. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.